What's up, guys? It's your boy Zwolki back with the continuation of the Chris Watts case. Now, apparently, with doing the searches of Shanann, Bella, Cece, and Nico when they were trying to find clues and possible DNA evidence of a tussle, a rumble, or whatever have you, 4 unidentified people of DNA were claimed in this home, but were not looked into, which is very puzzling in itself. This was sent to me by a few of you guys that would like me to watch this and put my 2 cents in on this. So I'm going to do so because you guys have requested it. So we are going to be watching, again, Michelle After Dark. I definitely do enjoy some of her content when it comes to stuff that's not too long, because things can get a little bit more, I wouldn't say redundant, but things can be overplayed, and I definitely don't want to overplay something when there's a lot of people that have know what's going on with this case already. For those that are new here, make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. All you have to do is hit that white bar icon down at the bottom right, hit the bell icon next to it, so I do post videos like this one. You guys will get that little ring notification that I've posted that video. Then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, I thank you guys so very much for the continued love and support that you guys have been showing on this channel. We're still increasing by the numbers, and once we get to 50K, one of you lucky people at home are going to get one of those MetaQuest 3 virtual reality headsets. Once we're at 75K, another one will be given away, and 100K we'll be doing another giveaway, plus tons of Zwolki merch to hundreds of you guys at home. So make sure you guys subscribe, comment, like, and share. That's all you have to do. Make sure you guys go over to Michelle After Dark, give her some love, watch her old stuff, watch her new stuff, just give her some love. And with that being said, let's get into today's video and see what these 4 unidentified people, why they were at this house, why the DNA was collected and not used in this case. That's 4 people. Okay? Why wouldn't they take a look at? Let's take a look.
Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the Watts family murders. So it's a little while, it's a few days since I last did one of these commentary videos, and I see from the comments that some of you are missing them because you like to know my thoughts on certain things.
I would.
Recently I've done the Chris Watts movie, and then my last video.
There has been people that have asked me to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. I don't want to watch it. I think it's kind of a little grotesque that they made a movie about it. We don't need the play-by-play of it. I just don't feel that it's necessary to make it. What are your thoughts? I mean, would you want me to react to it or not? I just don't feel like I need to watch it. I think it would be not needed. But that's up for you guys. I definitely, at this moment, have no intent to watching it. Just comment down below, and let's get into the continuation of this.
Video, again, was a non-commentary video. It was putting a whole selection of clips together and telling a story about the case based on the wealth of clips that are available either in the discovery files, Shanann's Facebook, news reports, etc. So those kind of videos take a long time to edit, and they are all mine. I saw a comment this morning which amused me a little but annoyed me a little as well, saying she didn't do commentary because it wasn't hers. I can assure you that all of the videos on this channel are absolutely all mine. If I take a piece of content from another channel, you know, under fair use, I state where I've got it from. So there's that.
As do I.
What I want to do in this video is address something that I've heard on several channels, actually. It's something that has kind of been mentioned and talked about. So there was DNA from 4 people who weren't the Watts in the house. And the implication there, possibly, is this DNA belonging to the accomplices?
Nicole,
where did this DNA come from? Well, in order to address this question, and I don't know the answer, spoiler alert, none of us knows the answer.
So they
collected
what I want
to do is take you through the evidence.
So they collected it and didn't even use it? Are you kidding me?
That was collected by the prosecution. So by Frederick Police Department and then crime scene analysts. We're going to go through what's in the discovery. We're going to talk about the problems of the lack of evidence that was collected by the prosecution. Bearing in mind, at this time, Chris he'd confessed, but he'd only confessed to killing Shanann. So let's start there, and then I'll be able to discuss this
That's
possible
so messed
DNA
up.
evidence, where that came from. I searched the discovery for the word Yoakum, which is the surname of one of the crime scene people who there's quite a few mentions of those reports.
So let's get DNA. Glad that you collected it, but let's not test it and put it into APHIS so we can figure out who it is. Shouldn't you put it in DNA and then wean out the people that, like Nicole Atkinson? She probably has been there quite a bit. Rule her out. Rule out some other people, but then possibly include somebody that was possibly there, but they didn't test it.
Reports. So I started with that. And we see here a report from Frederick Police Department, which is as good a place to start as any. So on August the 15th, 2018, after a lengthy consensual search earlier in the day, I arrived again at 2825 Saratoga Trail to conduct a search warrant based on new information that had arisen in the investigation. At 22:12 hours, that's 12 minutes past 10 p.m., I, along with Officer Manley and Sergeant Bakes, began the execution of the search warrant. Officer Kate Lyons kept a crime scene log outside the residence. I took a photograph of Sergeant Bakes holding the signed search warrant outside in front of the residence prior to entry. We entered the front door using the key code I was provided with earlier in the day. At 23:12 hours, that's 12 minutes past 11 p.m., Weld County ADA Wren and ADA Roche arrived on scene to observe.
Oh, the puppy's
Various
there by himself.
evidentiary items were collected, including bedding and related items. A video baby monitor of 2 accompanying cameras was collected. While on scene, Sergeant Bakes took video handheld using his Axon body camera.
So they took the baby monitors, which I did find out through this company, what are they called? The summer cameras. You can record on them. There's a chip and cloud capabilities for recording capabilities on there, which cloud was turned off and the chips are missing. Really?
Of a reenactment scenario, which again is, we've got the evidence for that. We've got
And
the
her watch is
body
missing.
cam for that. The perspective of the video taken was close-up of the baby monitor video screen located in the master room. Clothes were collected. A laptop was collected. Photographs were taken. All items were immediately transported back to the police department and entered into evidence. On August the 16th, 2018, at 0011 hours, so that's 11 minutes past 12 a.m. on the 16th, the front door of the residence was locked. At that time, I released the scene and Weld County Dispatch was informed. End of report. And that crime scene was released at that time. They'd done everything they needed to do,
No
apparently.
way.
Now, you've got to remember that the police search...
That is 3 days after they got their guy. I've seen weeks, months of crime scenes taking place.
On the 13th. There was also further searches on the 14th. The dogs went in on the 14th. And they'd done a thorough search of the home. The trouble is, though, those preliminary searches were done by officers in and out of the home without gloves.
I still don't know why.
Now, obviously, if the DNA that is being, found by the defence team, it's got to be the defence team. I'll come on to that. Well, have they ruled out all of the people who came through?
Why didn't they dust the doors and do the little fingerprints and collect all that stuff?
2825 Saratoga Trail on the 13th, 14th and 15th. Who didn't wear gloves? So some of the officers didn't wear gloves.
The office was a mess.
Officer Coonrod and Dave Baumhover was in there on the afternoon of the 13th. Now, in the dog search, there was gloves used in collection of the evidence, the scent evidence that they gave the dog. But there was a camera crew. They kept some equipment in the home. There was Nicholas Atkinson, Nicole's little daughter, I think her name's Madison, was running around on the 13th, because that was, it was a missing persons inquiry. So of all of those people being ruled out, so does the DNA belong to those people, any of those people? Has their DNA been compared to the DNA
Why wasn't
that
it?
has allegedly been found from 4 people from the Watts home who weren't the Watts? And I think Chris had friends in on the 13th and the 14th. The Thayers were there on the 14th. We see them on body cam. So have all of these people been ruled out? There's probably more people been in that wasn't captured on body cam.
What's that light that they shine on the like beds or toilets or whatever, and then it's got like an orange screen, like you look through it. It's not luminol, but I can't remember what it's called, but they can look to see like seminal fluids or blood or something like that, or hair follicles. Why wasn't that done?
And we know that this evidence collection, this collecting of bedding, was done in a very rudimentary fashion, just basically bunging the bedding into bin liners. It reminds me of what I do when I move house. When I'm packing up, I'm just bunging things in boxes and bin liners, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. I just want to get it done as quickly as possible.
That's what they did.
That's what it looked like to me. It looked like me packing a house, not a forensic search. That bedding was contaminated.
Because don't they put things in paper bags, seal them with the red tape, initial it, so make sure that when every single time it's open, they redo it. They make sure, because paper doesn't contaminate the things or let it sweat. None of that was done. They're like, yep, we're just gonna put this in here. We're just gonna put this in here and this in here and this in here. Yep, we're good. Let's go. It's like, are you effing kidding me? They didn't even try to like. I'm sorry, but they dropped the ball big time on these ones.
It was put in plastic bags which sweat. It was all piled in together. It should have been done in paper bags.
And I keep saying this. I'm not a professional. I'm not educated. I'm not a police officer. But you can't tell me that they didn't do what more that they could have done. It just seemed sloppy.
Bags. And it should have been, each item should have been stored separately. So there's that. But anyway, let's look at this one as well. So this one is consent search of 2825 Saratoga Trail on the morning of the 15th. Now, this was not under warrant. This was done consensually by Chris. They were in the home while Chris was in the police department doing his polygraph and being interrogated. So approximately 600 hours. So that's 6 a.m. Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI Matthew Saylor, responded to 2825 Saratoga Trail to conduct a search of the residence. Consent had been granted by the homeowner, Chris Watts, the previous evening during a videotaped interview. Additionally, Watts gave consent to any and all testing and collection of evidence that was deemed necessary. Upon arrival, I met with CBI crime scene analyst Dave Yoakum, Dave Baumhover, Steve Walge, and Detective Baumhover contacted Watts by phone to obtain the code for the lock of the...
Just think what that Dutch hound, they talked about the Dutch hound being put in the back and stuff like that. Just think what that dog saw and heard.
Front door, allowing access to the residence. Now, if you remember, if you know the case well, Chris didn't stay there on the night of the 14th. He actually stayed with his friends, the Thayers, and therefore the house was empty on the night of the 14th. But Chris was there all day on the all afternoon on the 13th. He was left alone on the night of the 13th, and then on the 14th, as I said, loads and loads of people were in. So this was never sealed as a crime scene. So basically any evidence collected
was gone
from this scene has got potential contamination. Chris could have removed evidence. Chris could have thoroughly cleaned. Sometimes the most thorough cleans, they still leave traces of things behind, unbeknownst, that can't be seen by the naked eye. There is all that. But to be thorough and forensic about this scene was contaminated. CSA Yoakum took overall photographs of the residence and we began our search. I noticed that the residence was very neat and orderly. I mean, it always was. You know, Chris and Shanann, they were a little bit obsessive with the old cleaning. They'd freak out.
Or OCD, or Shanann was OCD. There's nothing wrong with that.
Know, it was very clean and tidy, but Chris had done a lot of cleaning on the 13th and the 14th.
Which he has stated in other streams that Shanann had, that he didn't like to clean very much. He just wanted to come home, relax with the kids and stuff like that. But he always said he didn't like laundry. He didn't like doing the inside stuff, that Shanann was a stay-at-home mom and should be having to do that. So he did state that, which is a dick move. It's like, you both have this house, you contribute together. So for him to state that he was cleaning and all that stuff when Shanann was gone, okay, come on, why are you cleaning when you should be worrying and looking for your kids? When we thought he was not, I thought he was at fault right away, but some people thought that he's like, they're like, why is he sleeping? Why is he just standing there? I would be out like searching through woods and garbage dumps looking for my family, and he was at home talking to Nicole.
You know, there was numerous things captured on body cam. Jane, the search dog handler, said, "Oh, you know, this is too clean. This is too clean."
And good at cleaning.
Reports of smells of bleach. So Chris was thoroughly cleaning. Now that could have been because he wanted to get rid of evidence, or it could have been that that's what he does when he's anxious. You know, if you're a bit obsessive about cleaning and you feel anxious, you might turn to cleaning to take your mind off things. It doesn't necessarily mean anything that the residence was neat and orderly. That could be just how it was all the time. So the items in the kitchen cupboards were organised and labelled. The items in the basement were all organised and packaged, many in plastic totes. I noticed that the clothing in the closets was neat and orderly, arranged by clothing type and colour. See, like I said, a bit obsessive. The only exception was the office and its adjoining closet, which had clutter on the desk and items strewn on the floor. The office and closet were in contrast to the remainder of the house. So this is interesting. You know, it could be that was just Shanann's office and she just didn't care too much. You know, it wasn't on public view. It was her personal space, and maybe she didn't feel that she needed to keep it as orderly as other areas of the home. Or it could have meant,
you've looked at other streams that she had, and that office was mint clean. Like, it was like her closet, that was clean. Like, she had everything cleaned. Everything had a spot. Everything had its position. So I call BS on that part.
And that Chris was searching for things, life insurance policies, and he left it like that. We just don't know, do we? We just don't know. I noted that
Passwords
all
for
of the
phone.
beds had been made, and I was advised that on previous consent searches of the residence, the kids' beds were unmade. Well, he's made the beds, right? And the master bed was stripped of its bedding. Well, we know that because we know one of the sheets ended up in the kitchen trash, and we know that one of the sheets ended up at Survey 319. Some way from the grave. CSA Yoakum conducted Blue Star testing of the bathroom, stairs, entryways to the garage and bedrooms. No presumptive blood was located. Now, this is important because this is the only actual forensic testing that was done, or at least that is reported that I can find, in the entire discovery. This was the prosecution's discovery. This was the prosecution's opportunity to take forensic evidence from that residence. So Blue Star testing, it's testing for blood that can't be seen by the naked eye. That's the kind of testing. So they only did the bathrooms, the stairs, entryway to the garage, bedrooms. No presumptive blood was located. So, well, we know there was no blood. We know that.
She had the
because
baby at
if
the
Shanann
site.
was killed in bed, he was strangled in the master bedroom as Chris describes in his confession, there's no blood. The girls were taken to Survey and killed, not in the house. So this is Chris's story. So we wouldn't expect blood. But at least some forensic testing was done. It wasn't thorough, was it? They just got it in their heads that Chris was guilty. And of course, Chris was guilty. I believe Chris is guilty, absolutely. I'm not one of these people who think Chris is covering up for someone else and someone else actually did the murders.
I think he's
But what
covering
I'm
up
saying
also,
here
but he
is
did commit
that
their
they
murders.
just assumed they wanted this done as quickly as possible, and they just went with that story that Chris is the guilty one. They didn't open up the possibility of testing more widely than that. They were just looking for evidence that Chris had spilled blood when he did the murders. But they didn't think about DNA because they just thought, well, Chris's DNA is going to be all over the house anyway. So, I don't know. During the search, I was advised by the FBI Special Agent Tory Smith was responding to the residents to assist in downloading the contents of the router in the residence. Special Agent Smith arrived and connected to the router with his laptop. Special Agent...
So shouldn't they have been able to find like all the stuff when it comes to like the connections of the cameras and the cloud and the security things, the blips that went off to state that there was somebody in the home? Like none of that was mentioned. Why? They're like, oh, we got Chris, we're done. No!
Agent Smith took screenshots documenting his connection of the router and router settings, and we've got those photographs. It should be noted that the router time was set to GMT. That's Greenwich Mean Time, not Greenwich, as I've seen some Americans. So, I'm laughing, but I get pronunciations of Americanized language. I get that wrong because I'm in the UK, so I'm just getting my own back a little bit. GMT minus 800 hours, which is Pacific time. So there's a 2-hour discrepancy with local time, which is Mountain Daylight Time. Special Agent Smith downloaded the router logs and made copies. Okay. We don't need to worry about that. So during the search of the residence, it was noted that the trash cans throughout the residence, such as those in the bathroom and bedrooms, had been emptied. The trash bags from those trash cans was located in the kitchen trash can. Underneath those trash bags, we located a bedsheet and 3 pillowcases. The bedsheet and 1 pillowcase had an unknown dark substance that appeared to be smeared on it. The bedsheet and the pillowcases were photographed and collected as evidence. I think that was Shanann's makeup, I believe. Oh. All of this should have been DNA tested.
Yes.
Was it?
Agreed.
Somebody tell me if I've missed this.
They said they didn't
in
test
the discovery.
For DNA.
I've read the discovery from top to bottom.
They literally said they didn't test for DNA because Chris confessed. So they did not test.
Upside down, inside out, and I don't see the prosecution have collected any DNA evidence. I don't see those reports. If those
so with also Chris having an Apple Watch, shouldn't that show his steps, where he was at for GPS location? Like we have all this technology, but I don't see them doing it. Like Shanann, she had a watch. I don't know if it was Samsung or whatever have you, because I saw it on her desk. But where is that?
Reports are there. Can somebody please put the page number or at least a rough location in the comments section so that I can check it out? I can't find it. I located an Apple Watch on the nightstand of the master bedroom that was later determined to belong to Chris. I also located an Apple MacBook Pro on the desk in the office.
I'm like so antsy because this is
making me mad. Watts was again contacted by phone and he gave consent to seize any electronic devices located in the residence. These were collected. An Apple Watch was determined to belong to Shanann. Watts was located on the couch in the upstairs loft area underneath the throw pillow. So that's the same place that Nicholas Atkinson found Shanann's phone on the afternoon.
I'm actually thinking like she wasn't murdered in... I've also had the thought that she wasn't murdered in the bedroom or the basement. She was murdered on that couch in that common area. So that she was like strangled from behind, like they were getting ready to watch TV or something, or she sat down there or whatever. She sat away from Chris because they were arguing. So she sat in that couch area. That's where he had come behind her and grabbed her through here. And her phone and her Apple Watch fell between the couch. That's another thing that I thought about. But again, we can't know for certainty unless Chris. But again, we can't believe Chris.
Of the 13th. Now, Nicholas Atkinson has been criticised by certain channels
which is
that
stupid.
He knew where to go. Well, did he? Or was he just looking as I would look, under stuff? You know, it was one of the first places he looked, but that was just fortunate. It could have been the last place he looked. It was just chance.
Blaming
But the
Nicole
watch
and
was there as well.
son.
And Chris states, I think it's in the Wisconsin confession on the February of 2019, that he put them there. He tells us that. Could be lying, of course, but
Yeah,
the watch was
exactly.
collected as evidence. An Apple iPad was found in the backpack. They're an Apple family. They're just like me. Underneath the...
And also, doesn't Apple Watches, don't they record or like keep track of heart rate? Like for people that have high blood pressure, diabetes. I've heard that's a possibility. Like, oh, hold on, I want to see if this is right. So even look at this, by default, your Apple Watch monitors your heart rate for the heart rate apps, the workouts and breathing and reflections. I guarantee she didn't turn that off because she was big about her health. That monitors your sleep. So couldn't you have seen if she was in it sleeping that night? Why wasn't any of this used, man? Look at Chris's watch. Did he fall asleep with it? Did it? I mean, this is ridiculous that we're not even using the watches as a possibility of evidence. But they got Chris. They're like, yep, we don't need any of this. We knew he killed her. This could give you a more timeline.
Desk in the office, which was also collected as evidence. An
So
Amazon Echo
dumb.
smart home device was located on the kitchen counter, and that was collected as well. Searching the garage, I located a cardboard shipping box from Amazon inside the trash dumpster. Inside the box, I found a marriage improvement book that appeared brand new. This was a book that Shanann bought Chris, that he threw in the trash. I had earlier received information that Shanann Watts has sent a marriage improvement book to her husband. The book was photographed and collected as evidence. Excuse me. Another reason why I've not been making commentary videos is actually I've had COVID. I'm fine. You don't need to worry about me. When I talk a lot, I get a bit short breath and I cough. Yeah, just bear with me, please. All items of evidence were photographed by CSA Yoakum and packaged and collected by Officer Wadgley. Prior to exiting the residence, we let the dog back inside, but were unable to secure him back in his kennel. Oh, this is Dieter. Okay. We secured the residence and left. Dieter was actually picked up on the evening of the 15th, and the Thayers looked after him. I think it was the Thayers who took him. But Dieter is fine. Dieter now lives with the Ruseks. So people sometimes ask what happened to Dieter. Dieter's fine. He's living his best life. So there's another report that I want to read you, and this is by CBI agent Dave Yoakum himself, rather than it being written by someone else, but with him there. So we want his analysis, don't we, of what was done. Now, some of this is about survey, so we're going to skip that. Tuesday, August the 14th, approximately 11 p.m, I, Colorado Bureau Investigator Crime Scene Analyst D. Yoakum, was contacted by CBI Crime Scene Manager D. Maloney, requested to respond to 825 Saratoga Trail, and then, as we've seen, they turned up at 6 a.m, and Chris gave his consent to that. They also searched their vehicles, but we'll do that in another video, I think.
They found a lighter.
Go through the vehicle search.
None of them smoked.
So we'll read through what Yoakum himself says about the search. Upon my arrival at the residence at 5:45 a.m, I met with Frederick PD, Detective Dave Baumhover, officers Wadgley and Perez. So the house had been searched, and 3 different occasions. And let's look how this was processed. So photos were taken. We got a little bit more information about the blood testing. So Blue Star latent blood reagent was applied to all bathroom fixtures. So tub, shower, sink, toilet. I guess they do that because, you know, if murders that occur in the home, if there's blood, then, you know, the perpetrator is perhaps going to wash themselves. So that might be a good place to get blood. But we know in this instance, it's going to reveal negative because there was no blood spilled. You know, they weren't stabbed or shot or anything like that, or punched and kicked and, you know, blood spilt. It wasn't like that. So no signs of chemiluminescence. Blue Star was also applied to locations where the searching canines had alerted. mudroom by the garage and the top basement stairs in the hallway to the mudroom. No signs of chemiluminescence were observed in these areas as well. The mudroom by the garage and the top of the basement stairs, well, they didn't search the basement. We wouldn't expect to see blood in the basement anyway, but if they're searching where the dog alerted,
Traumatic.
he went mad in the basement. You know, so much so, he was really quite anxious. You know, you've got to feel sorry for Cody the search dog. You know, he was very anxious. He reacted a lot in that basement. But yeah, if they're going off the canine search, why didn't they chemically test the basement? That's like so odd. You know, yeah, they're going to search bathrooms because they might already explained, and then the bedding in the kitchen trash was collected. Throughout the home, several electronic devices were taken. We know that as well. And then it goes on to the Anadarko property. So
a lot of things were collected,
we hear
but not
about the search
at.
at 2825 Saratoga Trail. As I said before, if you know of DNA testing that was done by the prosecution that I've missed, let me know. So, the DNA from these 4 people, well, the prosecution wasn't going to pick them up because they didn't test for them. They'd gone with their own. But the defence is going to obviously try to find evidence against that to either lessen the charges against Chris or just get him off. You know, at this point, this moment in time on the 15th of August, when the prosecution released the crime scene, when Chris had only just confessed and not made a full confession, you know, surely they would have expected this to be going to trial, but yet they released the crime scene. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So the question is, when did the defence collect this DNA evidence? If this is true, obviously this is all alleged, heard this on certain channels, it might not be true. There might be no extra DNA evidence and these channels have been misinformed by someone or something or whatever. So we know that the defence team, kind of from the public defender's side, went in on the 17th. We know this because it's on police body cam. So this is a day and some hours after the prosecution released the scene. And Nate from next door reported a burglary, or a suspected burglary, and it was actually the defence team. So we know they were in there, and we know that there was a question asked by one of the defence team about what evidence had been taken from the house, because there was a lack of tagging. It just didn't look like a crime scene. It didn't look like it had been tested, which it hadn't. It had been some blood testing, but did they not even test fingerprints? I mean, what is going on? So was that DNA recovered then on the 17th? You know, if it's later, if this has been collected later, then we've got possibility of even more contamination, because the Rusaks went in to clear all the furniture, like sometime in, I think that was in September. And they had rights to do that, right? To take their daughter's possessions out of the home. So there'll be even more people who've gone in there. You know, did they have like removal people coming in to help them? Did they have... There's a whole raft of people who could have gone in that home when that was being cleared. So the defence team, Chris's new defence team, we know Chris has a new defence team. You know, is that going to be reliable? I wouldn't think so. Unless you could highlight every single person who'd ever been in that home since the 13th of August, every single one of them, and rule them out.
But they didn't.
Take your samples that you've collected and compare them with the DNA of every one of these people and rule them out. And then you happen to find 4 samples that come from 4 different people who were never in that home. Well, if you've got DNA, you need to find the humans whose DNA that belongs to. Have they done that? These are the questions, you see. And also, as an aside, what about DNA that would have been in the home before the murders?
Exactly.
I mean, how long does DNA last on surfaces if it's undisturbed? So, yeah, let me know your thoughts.
I wonder how long DNA lasts. Hold on. Holy crap. A dry sample of blood, semen, or sputum in a cold area or out of direct sunlight can last years, perhaps decades, without little degradation. DNA in the form of saliva in a piece of chewing gum would also last years. So why they could even do it now? I mean, if they did the testing of it, the DNA, it's been in a cold, dry area. Test it. How hard is that? Who knows? It could be NKs. It could be somebody else. Why are we not testing this stuff? So comment down below, who do you think it could be? Could you think it's the police officers? I mean, there's 4 people unidentified that have not been tested for the DNA, and it could be something that could crack open this case wide open. But again, I want to know your guys' thoughts down below. Please hit the like button for the continuation of the 100% justice that we will hopefully one day see. And we will see you guys in the next video. So please take care, be safe, and as always, keep nerding on. And we'll see you guys next time.